Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and this is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm YouTube. Appreciate everyone jumping in here on a Monday afternoon. Got Howard Bender with me back here on a Monday. We're going to recap some of our bets and picks from the weekend in NFL and college football, but also got Monday Night Football tonight, Raiders, Lions, to give out some bets and props and picks for. And we all got World Series Game 3 tonight, too, to break down, give some bets out for everyone that's chiming in, looking for other games. We got the sports equinox today, Howard. I don't know if you realize that. We got all four major sports. One of the only times this happens, like usually in the history of sports. One of those rare spots. So what's up, Howard?
The sports equinox of the four major sports all going on today. Yeah, you know, as a content creator in this industry, yes, we sure do love these days. It's not complicated at all.
On this show, we'll be giving out bets for two of those sports, for NFL and baseball, but definitely be sure to go over to fantasyalarm.com right now. You could see NBA bets from our guy Iggy Gilbert, who's still cashing his plays over there. So you want to definitely check out his bets for tonight in the NBA. And we got NHL bets, I think, from Wags, Josh Wagner, who's usually on the hockey bets. So check those articles out. You gotta get the All-Pro subscription, but again, it's worth it if you cash some of these bets these people are putting out. But let's recap how Sunday went for us in the NFL. Ooh. We always do this on a Monday, win or lose. It's good to take stock in how things went. Are you breaking up on me there, Howard?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm losing you, Servo. I'm losing you. Did you say you wanted to talk World Series tonight? Is that what you wanted to talk?
We'll get there. Okay.
All right. Sorry. Oh, you keep breaking up again. Are you sure you didn't say World Series picks instead of anything else?
We will get there. Yes.
Okay.
We got to review this, because there's weeks where we both, have huge weeks. There's weeks where we both a little cold. And Howard, we got to own it. All right. We got to own it. And I'll let you have the floor. What went right? What went wrong with some of your bets that we gave out on Friday's show?
Servo, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Are you there?
I am here. I will say one of your wins. Listen, your win. You got the Jets. A win for the Jets in the Bender household over the Giants. There you go.
That's my one takeaway. And it was so funny too because you couldn't even enjoy the Jets game. It was that bad, and it didn't even matter. Like if you were watching it as a Jets fan, you were like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with us? We keep shooting ourselves in the foot. We're terrible and we're awful." If you're a Giants fan, you're like, "Oh, there goes another QB. Yep. Where are we going to go now?" Okay, Tommy DeVito, who nobody knew. I don't even think Giants fans even knew who Tommy DeVito was.
Syracuse product.
All right, so, well, then I guess that would be what? The first touchdown Syracuse scored for the week? All right? Didn't they get blanked like in a big way?
Yeah, Syracuse football is not in a great spot right now.
Still
Tommy DeVito left, and all of a sudden they're bad.
Still holding on to those Donovan McNabb shares. Oh, maybe he'll come back for like an old timers day. So all right, so yeah, Jets were terrible. But I did get the cover. I did get the win, and it definitely did. It was very nice for my social agenda.
Well, in that game they kick a field goal at the end to tie it. It looked like the Giants probably should have won and really kind of blew the game at the end there to even give the Jets a chance to kick a field goal to send it to overtime. And then, the Jets get the game-winning field goal to cover the 2.5 spread, too.
You all didn't blow out Washington the way you promised either, huh? I promised the bet and the win, and that was it, and that's what we got, Servo.
Well, at least I got to push. I got to push on the Eagles.
They don't want to know how the sausage is made, dude. They don't know.
Well, the Eagles push. I mean, they were up by 2 touchdowns, and then they let the the Commanders would go down and score and make it a little interesting. But it was, I mean, they were trailing at times. I was lucky to even get the push in that game. I'll admit that, because they were losing outright at one point and really had to come back in the second half. So, get the push on the Eagles. And in that game, I had two props. The Brian Robinson under rushing yards did not hit. Hit the DeAndre Swift over rush attempts, though. So felt good, getting a split on those. In your Jets game, the Breece Hall rushing yards, he had a 60-yard reception touchdown, but his rushing yards were very limited, so he did not go over his rushing yards prop there. Felt really good about the Josh Downs one, though. That one, we said also, I would go over 4.5. I would look for alt reception lines because he had, I think, 5 or 6 catches. And he's clearly a favorite of Gardner Minshew's right now. So that one cashed for me. Hit the Kamara touchdown in that same game, Saints Colts. And then also I missed on the Packers plus 1.5 against the Vikings. And we get the Kirk Cousins Achilles injury from that game, which is a big story to kind of monitor, see what the Vikings do, if they're going to roll out rookie Jaron Hall as their quarterback moving forward, or if they're going to make a trade here at the trade deadline. We'll see. And then also my last one was the Dolphins minus 9.5, which was early in that game. The Patriots were really, making it actually a game. So, but the Dolphins did covering there. So got to win there. What about you? Notable results from you from Sunday.
I don't really have any notable results, but I mean, listen, obviously things to say about each and every game. Let's start with the Falcons not covering a 2.5 point spread. Forget about that. Forget about the story. There is Will Levis. And now what are we doing? Because now I guarantee you we're going Tennessee. I believe Tennessee plays on a short week, don't they? Do they play this Thursday?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Check the schedule. I feel like they play Thursday maybe, or
I'm pulling it up right now. By the way, that they play the Steelers on Thursday night. Yeah.
Okay, so short week, Will Levis. How much overreaction is there going to be on this game here? So I mean, it's going to be very interesting to watch that spread. So,
and on that note, the Steelers favored by 3 points right now. Even though we also had the Kenny Pickett injury from last week. So
right. So who's we don't even know if he's going to QB on Thursday either. So very interesting to watch what happens in that game. But meanwhile, the Falcons, I don't know why. I'm like, the Falcons are like a destructive ex-girlfriend in my life, and I just keep going back over and over again because there were times where it was that good, right? It was like that solid of a relationship, and then I forget about all the bad stuff. I forget about all the Arthur Smith, and so whatever. I'm done. I'm out. Rams did not cover against the Dallas Cowboys. Bears did not cover against the Chargers. That was super surprising to see the Chargers do that. But I mean, listen, there were big point spreads for what I thought, and both teams covered. That doesn't that you're not going to see a lot of like big spreads covered in any week. So to see that, I think it was like 10 of 14 favorites won the game, and I think like 9 of the 10 covered the spread, or 8 of the 10 covered the spread. So I mean, it was it was a tough week. It was definitely a tough week. My prop play, not good either. Nico Collins. I mean, CJ Stroud just decided that him and the Texans were just going to take a dump on the field and call it the Houston Texans. That was horrendous. There was zero excuse for any of that to happen against a defense as battered and bruised. Did you see the Carolina Panthers celebrate that game-winning field goal like they won the freaking Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So that one there, Texans, that's on you. Nico Collins didn't cover that, that prop there for me. That was annoying. Pacheco did not cover in that game, which, again, 5 minutes before the game starts, you're told that Patrick Mahomes has the flu. You would think that it would like be a bigger day for Isaiah Pacheco. That doesn't happen. Bobby Okereke misses his tackles prop by a half. Calvin Ridley did not get into the end zone, but I did get his receiving yards prop. So not a great week by any stretch of the imagination, but still playing with house money, so I can let that slide.
Real quick, going back to the Falcons-Titans game.
Why? Why?
Well, not that I know you don't want to relive it, but I thought as soon as Taylor Heineke came in the game and replaced Desmond Ridder, I was like, all right, Falcons, here we go. I feel like Heineke's going to come in and give them some life. And I mean, he did a little bit, but it wasn't enough to really come back and overtake the Titans.
Servo. It's pronounced Heineke, not Montana. Heineke.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot.
Heineke. Remember who that is. You're down in the DC area, dude. You're near the stupid Commanders all the time. You know what's going on. Heineke.
Well, speaking of the Commanders, I saw Heineke and the Commanders beat the Eagles outright at home in Philly. I was at the game, and I was like, this is really happening? Heineke? Montana? What's going on?
Occasionally, apparently, the two of them, they like Freaky Friday every so often. Like I think it's like every 12th Sunday, they Freaky Friday with each other. It's amazing to watch.
By the way, we should have known, foresight is everything, or hindsight is everything. Sorry. But we should have known the Titans would win when they're rocking those Oilers old school throwback jerseys.
Dude, I heard
should have
that
known, right?
I heard that as many times as I heard it was National Tight End Day last week. Right? I was like Scott Hansen on Red Zone. I'm like, dude, stop saying Houston Oilers. Stop pointing out the uniforms. We got
it. There's also been a lot of buzz that do the Titans deserve to wear those because it's Houston? Houston, maybe the Texans should be able to wear those throwbacks, but it's still the same franchise. I know that.
Oh. Maybe they're going to wash the uniforms and send them to the Texans for next week so that they can both do it.
I did see Houston college team also had these jerseys, and they were sent a cease and desist by the NFL to not wear them because it's trademarked. So that was also interesting to me.
Trademarked by the franchise itself. So just because the franchise moved.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Right. Or just they're owned by the NFL in general.
All right. Can we stop talking about how horrendous NFL Week 8 was? Well, let's talk about how great college football Week 9 was.
Well, yes. I own my losses and wins as well. But this week in college football, if you watched Thursday's show, if you read my best bets article this week in college football, I went 6-1. With
picks
my
are
bets.
So hot. I can't. The flames coming off.
6-1 with my bets, including the Bettor Edge, which I actually won the Bettor Edge contest this week. Don't always win that. Usually it's someone else winning that, but 6-1. Thank you for fanning.
I'm fanning the flames here. I'm just fanning the flames.
The only one I missed on was Marshall -4, which you mentioned on that Thursday show that. The thundering herd, watch out. But that
I'd say watch out. I said go thundering herd.
Go thundering herd.
Obviously, screwed you on that pick. I am truly, truly sorry.
But so it was a good week in college. Try to keep that going this week. I'll have another best bets article and picks on the show. But feels good to get a winning week in college because it's been up and down for me, honestly, in college. It's a tough sport to really handicap and dive into, but feels good when you get a winning week and you just kind of see the board, up, with favorites, with underdogs, totals, hit on a bunch of those. So it was good to have that. Britt Flynn in the chat here. Well, first of all, she likes your Arkansas hoodie that you got on. She mentioned that. And she says Arkansas did not play, which was great because, they're stuck in a losing streak. It's tough to see. But as Britt says in the chat, it's, we got things to look up for Arkansas because they beat over the weekend. They played Purdue in a scrimmage and beat them. And their basketball team's looking, they've been legit over the last, 5 years or whatever. And they're going to be really fun to watch in college basketball. So, which, by the way, season starts a week from today, college basketball. So I'll be giving out some picks on this show for sure for Monday's games next Monday and for all season. That's something I'll be diving into. So stay tuned for all that. All right, we got Monday Night Football. Let's get away from Sunday's bets and Sunday's picks. Let's talk Monday Night Football here. We got the Raiders Lions tonight. Really interesting storylines on both sides of the ball, but hopefully it's a good game. The total's at like 46.5, so hopefully it is one of those higher scoring primetime games, which you don't always get. But we'll see. Lions favored by 7 here on the spread. Where are you going with this game? And any bets you like? We'll give out some player props too for this.
Yeah, I've got a few things. I did a best bets article over at fantasyalarm.com, so you guys can go and you can check all of that out for sure. So all right, so the line was kind of like it was moving back and forth. Yeah. And it was like going between 7 and 7.5. I'm taking the Lions minus the 7. When it was 7.5, I was like sitting there and I was writing the article and I was like, do I want to do like, Raiders, plus 7.5? Do I really want to do that? Because, you can talk alt lines and stuff like that, but like there's a lot of new players playing and they might not understand me like saying, do this or do that, or, look for this or whatever, but that's why we've got you. So I was like, all right, let me see what's going on. And then the line moved back to 7 off of 7.5 over at BetMGM. And I was like, sweet, I'm doing it. I'm taking it right there. I'm going to take the Lions minus the 7 points. I kind of like the under 46.5. You've got two, the Lions defense can be fantastic. The Raiders defense can be kind of suspect, but on the Lions side, Frank Ragnow's out. Jonah Jackson, is out also. So there's some interior line issues, which is kind of tough because that's really what you want to do. You want to run on the interior because you want to neutralize Max Crosby coming in from the outside. You want to, try and make that happen. So it's a little bit with that. So I kind of feel like that's going to cause some problems. You also, yesterday, Amon-Ra St. Brown showed up on the injury report with an illness. And we know that this is going around. There are a couple of places. The Saints whole locker room had it, a couple of days ago. Patrick Mahomes, he ended up with the flu. And so you're seeing this now kind of spin around. So it makes me a little concerned about, how in sync they're going to be if Amon-Ra is like limited or if he's just not at 100%, but he's really trying to push through. So I do worry about that. So that's why I'm just going to lean on the under, which is, 8-1 on Monday night and Monday Night Football anyway. So letting the trend be my friend on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you on the under if I was going to go over under in this game. And I'm with you on the Lions minus the 7. That's where I'm going. And you mentioned if you want to look at some alt lines, like on BetMGM, you can get 6.5 for the Lions to cover that. If you want the full touchdown protection there, it's only minus 125 over on BetMGM. So you could look at that, but I'll go with Lions minus 7 too. I just look at the Raiders. Their 3 wins this year have come against the Broncos, Packers, and Patriots. Those are not good wins. And all of them were like 1-score wins where they kind of barely squeaked out those victories. And I just see the Lions as a lot more battle tested. And they're gonna be hungry and ready after getting blown out by the Ravens last week. I feel like they're gonna be in for a really good bounce back effort. The injuries and the absences on the Lions side of things, especially their line, are a little worrisome. Especially with the Amon-Ra St. Brown illness, and we'll see if he ends up going or how limited he is. But overall, I just see the Lions defense, their rush defense for sure, is just going to bottle up, kind of shut down Josh Jacobs, in my opinion here. I know Jimmy G is back for the Raiders, but I don't see that being too much of a difference maker here. So, yeah, I like the Lions minus the 7. And then, one of my props here, as you can see on the screen here, I'm going with the Josh Jacobs under on his rushing yards. Was it 63.5? I think it's down a little bit, 61.5, but I just see him overall being limited here. On the year, he's only gone over this prop, over 63.5 in 2 games this season. And otherwise he's been held, under 62 yards in 4 of 7, barely got over in another one, averaging just 2.9 yards per carry. And this Lions rush defense, I mentioned, they are behind the Eagles, the second best rush defense in the league in terms of yards allowed per game. And opposing number 1 running backs, lead backs against them, are only averaging 35 yards per game. And only one this year has eclipsed 60 rushing yards against the Lions. And it came last week in that blowout loss where Gus Edwards had 64. But I don't see the Lions playing from behind where, the Raiders can just kind of hand it off to Jacobs a lot. I feel like they're going to be trailing. They're going to be throwing more. Especially if Jacobs just can't find room on the ground there. So, yeah, I love his under on his rushing yards prop.
Yeah, he really has not been running efficiently. And, you'd say, all right, well, he didn't have a preseason, but we're in week 8 right now. So, got to get it done. Yeah. All right. So I've got a couple of props that we can talk about here. Where do you want to go? You want me to stay I'll stay on the Raiders side of things since you were going with Josh Jacobs, and I'll say Jacoby Myers over 4.5 receptions. To me, this is an easy prop. Jacoby Myers has gone over this, I think, in 5 out of 7 games or 6 out of 7 games that he's played. Jacoby Myers is the go-to guy for Jimmy G. And that's just, we're looking at it's minus 150, which, obviously, so you want to put this into like a parlay or something like that. You can bet it on its own. Just, you're not really making, any kind of like a major return on there. But, with the target share that we see, Jacoby Myers, he sees a greater target share when Jimmy G, greater target share than Devontae Adams when Jimmy G is under center. So, with that, I just kind of feel like that 4.5 receptions, like you said, they're probably going to have to be throwing a bit much there in the second half. So Jacoby he moves the chains. And then I'll throw out, how about Michael Mayer? This one here, it's just more of like, if there is one weakness of this Detroit Lions defense, they don't contain the tight end well, right? We know this from playing DFS, and we know this from playing, fantasy football, when we stream a tight end who's going up against a team that's weak in DVOA against, the tight end position. And that's where we're looking at. Michael Mayer, I think he's a guy on the rise. And I think, I think he's saw 4 targets to 2 for Austin Hooper last week, outsnapped him also. And then Dan Malin from Fantasy Alarm, he says, the night before Halloween, and Michael Mayer isn't going to get some work, right? He's not Michael Myers. We get that. But I mean, Dan Malin said that in his showdown write-up. And so I'm in for that. Over 2.5 receptions. I'll chase some plus money here at plus 105.
Yeah, both these props are definitely just in line with how I think this game's going to go, with the Raiders likely trailing, especially in the second half, and Jimmy G just looking for some easier completions to guys that, Meyer over the middle as a tight end. But you mentioned his connection with Jacoby Myers is legit. I mean, he looks for it. It's concerning if you have Devontae Adams in fantasy or if you're backing Adams with any props, because Myers just keeps popping up whenever Jimmy Garoppolo is back on the field for the Raiders. So, yeah, I like both those picks. One of my picks, I'll go to the Lions side of things. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs over his receiving yards. I looked at his combined rushing and receiving, but I like his receiving yards prop here. We were talking about earlier the Lions' injuries to their O-line. Frank Ragnow, the center, doubtful but likely out tonight. You mentioned Jonah Jackson, the guard, is out. Halaputi Vaitai is questionable. We'll see if he goes, but that's like 3 notable guys. And if I feel like Gibbs might not have as much success rushing wise, but the receiving though, I think they're going to be looking to get him out in space as one of their top weapons. Which I feel like he's going to catch 3-4 passes and get over this line. Maybe one of them's a screen where they look to get him out in space, especially away from Max Crosby, as you were mentioning. I just think they're going to use him a lot, whether it's as a rusher or receiver. And I think this, with the line concerns, if he's just kind of getting bottled up, I feel like they're going to want to give him a few little, dump offs or screens. Last week, so David Montgomery's out, right, for the Lions. And last week with Montgomery out, we saw Gibbs get an 87% snap share in this backfield. Craig Reynolds was barely used. It was Gibbs a lot of the time, and he caught 9 passes for 58 yards last week, and it was a blowout to the Ravens. So some of those were garbage time and just little as they're playing catch up, throwing more. But I think either way, this is going to be a Gibbs. This is Gibbs' backfield with Montgomery out. And I wrote about this play actually in the Underdog article, so you can check out. I broke down a bunch of this season the Raiders have actually struggled more often than not against like pass catching running backs. They allow like Samaje Perine went over this, James Cook went over this line. So I just think it's a little low for Gibbs being one of the best pass catching running backs in the league, in my opinion. So going over his receiving yards. Britt Flynn chiming in our chat here saying Amon-Ra St. Brown expected to play. Just got the news that came down. So he was questionable with that illness, but it looks like he is going to give it a go tonight.
Yeah, right. Good to see. It's going to be interesting to see like what kind of condition he is in. We saw Pat Mahomes play yesterday, and he didn't look good.
Yeah,
right. He did not look good. He tried real hard, but they just couldn't get anything going, and Mahomes just didn't look like he was all there. So I'll tell you what, even with Amon-Ra St. Brown playing, I still like Josh Reynolds over 2.5 receptions. Yeah. I think that number's a little low, considering that even if Amon plays and he's not feeling at 100%, but he's going to play through this whole thing, then I think that Jared Goff is going to have an easier time kind of locking down with Josh Reynolds to catch a couple of passes there. So over 2.5 receptions for him on that front. And then on the defensive side of things here, how about this one here? Linebacker Robert Spillane of the Las Vegas Raiders, over 7.5 tackles plus assists. I got it at -115. If we think that the Lions are going to move away from Max Crosby, all right, then then that side linebacker over there, Divine Diablo is out. So Spillane from the middle is going to end up, because that they're going to try and like keep running or maneuvering over there, even if it's like a dump off screen. They're going to try and cut in and go after this linebacker who is going to be replacing Diablo, who's really, really good. So I think Spillane is going to be forced into helping out more often than not over on the other side of the field. So over 7.5 tackles plus assists for me.
Yeah, going back to your Reynolds pick, same thing I thought about with Gibbs was, even if Amon-Ra St. Brown plays, which again, he's expected to play now with that illness. I have no idea what his conditioning, his what his snaps are going to be looking like. So Reynolds going to be one of those guys asked to probably step up, and Gibbs too, I think, in the receiving, in the passing game. So
yeah, this isn't like a crazy big game where you need like the Michael Jordan to like play the flu game there, right? Like we don't. It's not like that. It's not really that bad of a. It's a softer matchup for Detroit in general. So if you can beat the Raiders without pushing Amon-Ra St. Brown to the point where he's spending all of his time on the sidelines puking, then just kind of let him run some routes and kind of stay more as like a decoy.
Yeah. Matt Rich on the YouTube chat asking if we do Dynasty. We do at Fantasy Alarm. We definitely do. We won't be talking about that on this show, more of a betting show here. But if you go to fantasyalarm.com, we have Dynasty content there for Dynasty Fantasy Football in the Discord chat. If you want to jump in there, ask any Dynasty questions, trades or whatnot for Dynasty, we definitely have you covered there. So you get that access to the Discord and all of our Fantasy Alarm content with the All-Pro subscription. If you haven't done that already, go to fantasyalarm.com/lock. You can get, rankings, waiver wire content, DFS for tonight, the betting content we got at Fantasy Alarm, all of it you can get with the All Pro subscription. So, but yeah, Discord chat for any dynasty questions you got, Matt, for that one. All right, let's talk World Series Game 3 because we got the Rangers and Diamondbacks split the first 2 games this weekend, 1-1 now with the series in Arizona for tonight's Game 3. Should be an interesting. We got Brandon Pfaadt on the mound and against Max Scherzer for the Rangers. Any picks or bets you got for this one?
Yeah, I just kind of went with the prop run here, just kind of light and easy. I just want to enjoy the World Series, so I'll kind of target it in this sort of way because I've been on the Rangers the entire time throughout these playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I've already got the bet in there for them to win the whole thing, so I don't need to bet whether or not they're going to win these individual games and drive myself nuts. What I will do though is I'll look at Brandon Pfaadt going up against the Rangers. Everybody's talking about the fact that his postseason numbers are so great. And you know what? I mean, you look at his last 3 postseason starts, and they really are good. His first one against Milwaukee, not so great. But he's still Brandon Pfaadt, and this is still a top-tier lineup overall for the Texas Rangers. So I'm going to favor the bottom end of the order. I'm going to go against Brandon Pfaadt, who, has struggled against left-handed hitting. He's struggled all season with like a 365 weighted on base average against lefties. It was like a 360 weighted on base average against righties. So I'm going to do a little 1-2 punch, a little mini stack here. Nate Lowe and Josh Young, each one of those guys over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBI. It's plus 100 for Nate Lowe. It's minus 110 for Josh Young. So, I love these guys during the season, and so I'm going to say that the bottom end of the order kind of gives that boost this night for the Texas Rangers. So those are mine.
All right. Well, on that same line of thinking, I'm going against Brandon Pfaadt here too on his strikeouts because I do think the Rangers are going to be a very tough matchup for him, who hit lefties very well during the regular season, also walked a bunch against left-handed pitching, one of the more patient lineups against lefty or against righties. And I see Pfaadt, his 4.5 strikeout line here on BetMGM. I realize that he had 9 and 7 strikeouts in his 2 NLCS starts against the Phillies. But as a Phillies fan, I also realized what happened with that lineup where they completely fell apart. And it got to the point where they were just kind of swinging for the fences more often than not. And it results in a lot of strikeouts, a lot of swings and misses for the Phillies. But his first 2 postseason starts, you mentioned the one against the Brewers and against the Dodgers. He only had 4 and 2 strikeouts in those 2 outings. I think we see something more similar to those strikeout numbers where his Ks are more limited against a very potent, dangerous Rangers lineup that's going to be hungry and more patient, I think, at the plate here after they only scored 1 run, struck out a bunch against Merrill Kelly in game 2. I think this lineup's going to be really making Brandon Pfaadt work, and also just to try to get into the Diamondbacks bullpen if they can by the 4th or 5th inning. So I also don't see Brandon Pfaadt lasting too deep into this game to rack up as many strikeouts as he did in his previous 2 outings. So give me the under on his strikeouts prop. And then my last one, quick one, Geraldo Perdomo for the Diamondbacks. Over a half a hit, just to get a hit tonight. Minus 115 over on PointsBet, actually. I didn't see it on BetMGM, but maybe it's there now. This guy's been quietly, in the 9 hole for the Diamondbacks. He's been quietly hitting well. He has a hit in 6 straight games going back into the NLCS. Also hitting 293 in the postseason, hitting 345 since the start of the NLCS series. The guy's been getting, really good pitches to hit and has been really producing because he's in that 9 hole ahead of Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte, where, pitchers and teams are forced to pitch to him to make sure and try to get him out before they have to face the top of the lineup with much, more dangerous power hitters for the Diamondbacks. And he's been taking advantage. He's been, getting a hit again, 6 straight games now. He's gotten a hit. He's a switch hitter too, which He has slightly better numbers against righties when he's hitting from the left side. So he's got Scherzer, a righty, on the mound here for the Rangers. So hopefully getting 2 or 3 at bats where he's hitting from the left side. So yeah, give me basically even odds to get over at least a hit tonight.
Right on,
so that's
man.
where I'm going.
Geraldo Perdomo.
Geraldo Perdomo. And for both these bets, it just sounds like we're rooting for offense tonight, which you can't go wrong with that.
Can't
right?
go wrong rooting for offense, right? Absolutely. The Texas Rangers offense didn't show up in game 2, which was a little on the disappointing side. But
Bounce back.
it's what I'm hoping for. I was looking at Corey Seager's props, and they were all kind of juiced up. All the total bases was 2.5. The hits plus runs plus RBI was 2.5. I was just like, come on.
I didn't see it, but I would look at his, if you want to bet on him to score a run, something as simple as that, because he's been getting walked a lot. I feel like he could get on base and come around to score. So that'd be one I'd look at, but.
Yeah, I don't have the itch so bad that I gotta be like, you know what, man, maybe I'm just gonna do like a walk prop here for Corey Seager. I want to root for something, man. I want to sweat it out with the bottom end of the lineup and be like, come on, guys.
Sometimes it's the profitable way to go. I did the walks prop for Yordan Alvarez and Bryce Harper in the ALCS and NLCS series, and it cashed a lot because sometimes when you just got as hot a hitter as Corey Seager is and has been, these guys are pitching around him. So
yeah, I jump on that during the season, when we're betting in season, and we kind of talked about this earlier in the year, betting MLB, that when you find something that you can latch on to, I can't remember what it was for you. For me, it was
early in the year. It was Luis Arias, just his hits or his total bases every game, because it was how hot he was in the beginning of the year. It was just, this is cashing left and right. I remember you mentioned in the previously it was Vlad Guerrero, right? 2 years ago.
The day after an offer, just hammer it, bet it wherever you could, and it was super profitable to do that. So I like doing that for Baseball Inside. Here in the World Series, I gotta have some love for it. I don't love I'm sweet, man. I'm glad I got 0.7 of a unit just because he drew that walk. Come on, give me some fire, give me some excitement.
Oh, that's why you're going with the hits, runs, RBIs props tonight. All right,
there we go. It's a nice little stack there. I might have to play the showdown slate and just put those two into my lineup there at the bottom as well.
I'm sure Perdomo is cheap, so you could put him in too because he's been hitting. All right, so those are our bets for World Series Game 3. Also, some Monday Night Football bets that we gave out here. Good luck to all you guys. If you got anything riding tonight, again, if you're looking for some baseball or hockey bets, definitely check out fantasyalarm.com. We got picks and props for both those sports covered tonight. From Josh Wagner and Iggy Gilbert. So check those out. And we'll be back tomorrow here on Bettor Sports Betting, 4 p.m. Eastern. So tune back in then, and we'll see you guys later.